Podcast, episode 84. My name is Jason Arriola, and joining me today is John Lucero.
Hello.
It's been a couple weeks, but we're back with our regular old podcast, so we're going to talk about what we've been playing, a little bit of news, what I've bought over the last little while, and if we've got some time, maybe we'll wrap up with some of the stuff we've been watching, too. We'll just kind of have to see how this episode goes and how long my kids can be distracted by a movie. So, anyway, for the sake of brevity here, let's move on to the first game we've been playing, or you've been playing, John. That's been Evil Dead 2. Or Evil Dead 2. Evil Within 2, whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 is a fine film, but I haven't played.
I beg to differ, but go ahead.
It's yes, anyway. Yeah, I've been playing Evil Within 2, and my relationship with the first one is that I found it okay, but very forgettable.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the common complaint I've heard.
Yeah, I have a pretty high tolerance for survival horror games. I like them enough to where I can usually put up with mediocre ones and enjoy them more than others. Like most of the Silent Hill games that I enjoy, and so. But yeah, like before I played this, I started playing the second one. I realized I couldn't remember anything that happened in the first one.
Well, that's not good.
So I beat that game. I completed it.
Okay.
I remember.
Was it recently?
I think I don't remember it. 3 years ago, I guess, at this point.
Okay. Well, I can see forgetting some of it in 3 years.
Yeah, the only things I remember of that game are it was mostly two very frustrating boss fights. That's what I could remember. Well, one really frustrating one and one really lame one, which was the last boss fight, which was really bad. But it was like an on-rails shooting sequence out of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
But
it's an odd choice.
But yeah, and I also wanted to figure out what they changed and how they from the first one to the second one. But yeah, I literally, as I was watching like a video of it and reading some reviews, I'm like, God, I forgot about all this shit in this game, and I forgot it was letterboxed and people hated that. I forgot it was.
That's right. I remember that controversy.
Yeah, yeah, and then it all came back to me just how like. I think the biggest problem with that game is first of all, it super tried to be Resident Evil 4.
Didn't Shinji Mikami have a lot to do with it?
He's the director, yes.
Okay.
And it is very much worshiping at the altar of Resident Evil 4.
The altar of his own creation, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem with it was first of all, it did not control as well as Resident Evil 4 did. It did not feel as good as that game did, which is probably the biggest issue. And then, in my opinion, its level design was very haunted housey in that it was a lot of set pieces that kind of didn't flow together very well. Like when you think about Resident Evil 4, you think of it in three specific parts because you spend so long in the village, the castle, and the island that you remember them all individually for good reason because you spend a lot of time there. You get to be part of that world, but in Evil Within, you're kind of just on a funhouse little roller coaster ride, going through a bunch of shit. That's horror game's greatest hits, basically.
Okay.
And it wasn't very scary. So.
Well, that's not a great thing to go with when you're talking about a survival horror game. Yeah. It doesn't have to be scary, but I mean, did it make you uncomfortable in any places, or?
There were. I also was reminded that there were invisible enemies in that game that were pretty cool. Actually,
thanks.
The intro to them was clever because they just kind of like a door flies open and then nothing's there and then you kind of see a quick shimmer and then it charges at you.
Okay.
And so there was some cool stuff. The boss fights were generally bad from what I remember.
Okay.
And a lot of them repeated. Like there were a lot of repeat boss fights. And it was very stealth focused, but the enemy AI was not great, so that kind of made the stealth poor. So it was, yeah. Gore played it this year, and he reviewed it, and he actually really liked it. He liked it a lot more than So obviously, opinions are opinions. People might like it more than I do.
No. It's the internet. Yeah. No. You die on your hill. Goddammit.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's at least my experience with the first game. And now the second one, I was going in low expectations, but hoping that they would at least improve upon that. And I am pleasantly surprised. I have actually been having a really good time with this game.
Okay.
It is At first, because you play as the main character from the first game, Sebastian Castellanos, who's just gruff cop guy number 7. But and you thought your daughter died in the first one, but it turned out the evil, not Umbrella organization, totally not Umbrella, that actually kidnapped her, and they put her in this
Parasol organization.
Yeah, they're called Mobius, and they actually took her, and it's also reminded me of the first game that they used this thing called the STEM device, which is basically like it creates like a matrix, like it's kind of like jacking into the Matrix in a way. It creates a world, and you go into that world. And his daughter is the core of the device. She is like the empathetic center of it, so the thing does not fall apart and turn into a shit show with all those minds combined together. So they need a empathetic figure to do that. It is very dumb, I know. And then the story and the dialogue is not that great. It is serviceable.
Okay.
The main character is kind of a wet blanket, but
man, you're really selling me on this thing.
I'm getting the stuff I don't like out of the way really quick.
Okay.
It is not bad. Also, I don't know if you did. For anyone that has listened to the Life is Strange episode we just did, I mentioned that Chloe talks to herself out loud a few times, at least from what I noticed. The character in this game does that too, and he definitely does it. I've seen him do it multiple times. Every time he speaks, he literally talks out loud every time. There's no inner monologue
when he does this.
No.
See, okay, well, I would find that a little less strange because, I mean, as a guy who's worked, graveyard for as long as I have, and you kind of by yourself a lot sometimes, as long as you're not sitting there like having a conversation with yourself, I suppose it's okay. But like when you're like, yeah, I guess I should go do this, and then oh, this needs to get fixed here. This needs to get fixed here. I don't know. For me, it helps me internalize things. I think it's more weird in Chloe's case where there are people around her and she's talking to herself, and it's like, okay, Chloe, you realize people can hear you, right? Inside voice.
Yeah, he does it a lot.
Okay.
It's very weird to me that he does it as much as he does. It seems like he has full conversation with himself sometimes.
Okay.
But anyway.
So it's more conversation, not remarking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's So he's all right. He's a main character, whatever. So the story is whatever. All right. Now, at first, this game starts out in a manner very similar to the first game, in that like I said, it's you're very linear, falling down a set path, and it's using a lot of distorted reality stuff because you're inside a mind. So they can play with a lot of stuff, but so there's some interesting things. You come across the main villain, and he's like, when he kills people, he puts them like in like a time loop, so they die over and over again inside this thing. And when I first came across this, I thought it was gonna be like a cool like puzzle sequence, but it's mostly just flavor, honestly. It's just some fucked up flavor for it. It looks cool. I thought there'd be a little more gameplay centered around it, but you do come across it multiple times.
Okay.
And you go to this area. You get chased by a large enemy, which happened a lot in the first game. So at this point, I'm like, oh man, this is just gonna be the same thing over and over. This is the same game again, isn't it? And then you arrive. You escape out of that area and you arrive at the town of Union, which is what this STEM device is. That's what it's created is this like small Midwestern town community kind of thing, is where all the people live that are inside this Matrix-like thing. And that is when the game reveals itself to actually have small overworlds that you run around, and there are a couple side missions. There are collectibles to find. Like it's pretty awesome, actually. The game it controls a little better than the first one too, which is nice. It's still not perfect. It feels a little loose, and the animations are a little rough.
Okay.
But yeah, like it gives me a lot of Last of Us vibes because you're running around and you're collecting a lot of different parts to craft things, and which you did in the first game too. And you have to craft bolt arrows for your crossbow that you find, which was a big part of the first game also, or upgrading your guns, and you're just like sneaking through this small community. And yeah, a lot of the stealth stuff and the taking kills reminded me very much of The Last of Us, and it actually gives me a lot of hope and a lot of interest to see what they do with The Last of Us 2, because as you've played Lost Legacy for a little bit, so and even in 4 also they've been playing around with open worlds a lot more recently in the Uncharted games. So I'm actually hoping that they kind of go this direction with The Last of Us, because it really gives you a chance to breathe in the area, and for the town of Union to leave an impression on you. So it's not like I forgot the Beacon Hospital was the place that you were in the first game, but so yeah, like it gives you a chance to appreciate like the level design and stuff, and like the atmosphere is really good. But the enemy AI is still a little rough. It's very hit or miss. It's not as the enemies still hit very hard, but it's not as so it's unforgiving if you aren't careful. But it doesn't feel as unfair as the first game did. The first game was very hard, and you died quite a bit. This one it's a little more manageable.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so yeah, that whole area was really cool. But I've moved on. I'm about halfway through the game now, and the last couple of chapters have been a little back into the linear stuff. I'm hoping I get out of that into a new overworld soon. I'm about 6 hours in, I think, and based on the trophies, I think I'm just about halfway through the chapters.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's not like Ys 8 where one chapter just went like extraneously long compared to a lot of them. Because I got to chapter 5, and I was like, oh, good, I'm nearly done. I'm like, man, this chapter is like a third of the game. Jesus.
Yeah, like chapter 3 was pretty long because that's well, at least it was for me, because that's when I was exploring the overworld mostly, just like going around collecting all the different ammo pouch upgrades and whatnot from soldiers you find, dead soldier bodies you find all over the place. So yeah, it's nice to do a little overworld that's not just jam packed with shit to do. Like it feels completable. So it makes, instead of like a Ubisoft game or just is
or Fallout,
or Fallout where it just feels insurmountable at times about all the stuff. Like I like clearing out an area. That's really satisfying to me. And in this game, I killed most of the enemies in the overworld, but eventually it gets reset with a bunch of harder enemies after you get to a certain point. But that was really satisfying. Just like mastering this area felt really good, and getting stronger as you go. There's a bunch of upgrade trees to deal with, and it feels like you're getting stronger. They do weapon sway in this game, which I've never been a fan of. I prefer, and like there are upgrades to make your weapon sway less, so you can aim better. But I've always been a fan. I always preferred like letting the player get better at it himself instead of putting arbitrary negatives on the player. I like Resident Evil 4 because it's so similar, and because it's Mikami is a supervisor in this game. He's not the director this time, I believe. But feeling yourself in 4 as you go through 4, just feeling yourself getting better at the game, like just aiming, how much better your aiming gets. It feels really good. Okay. This game, I'm getting better, but it still feels really loose and not quite as satisfying. It's
that's something I've always wondered about. Like, I mean, I don't know, it's some genre staple of this genre, and you can't, I don't know, like get somebody off of a team who worked on a very competent shooter and bring him over and like, okay, well, you need to do this to make it feel better. It's like, why is that so difficult? I've never understood that one.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, this is a big budget game, so.
Yeah, it is, and it's. I think the problem a lot of the time is the animations are still not quite. as good as you want them to be. I think that factors into it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like you're not running around like a fucking puppet or something. Like it looks fine. It looks good. It's just like you can kind of see when the changes in animation sometimes if you look close enough. Just like it's not quite as smooth as you would want it to be in a game
where it's like, hey, go ahead and move over to this animation frame.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
You can kind of see it sometimes. So it's just not quite where you want it to be. Okay. It's better than the first game, which is good because it's been 3 years, so you'd hope so.
Well, I mean, there's a whole Silent Hill legacy that might say otherwise of improvements. But, anyway.
Yeah, this game, but I am very pleasantly surprised. I'm having a really good time with it. Complaints and all, it's been nice to have a whole. I guess this time last year I was playing Resident Evil 4, and I talked about it on the podcast then too. So it's nice to have another game like that to play in October. It's even less scary this time. I'm just gonna say that I'm having fun with it, but it's definitely not because it's not a scary game. So I would still definitely, if you're still looking for one horror game to play this year, I'd still say Resident Evil 7 is the way to go. Because it feels really good and it's very scary. At least 2/3 of that game is very scary.
Okay.
But
that's one I'm waiting for the Gold Edition to come out and then probably drop in price before I pick it up.
Yeah, I think that's still a better game than this is horror game wise this year. But this will scratch the edge too.
Who's the developer on this? Do you know?
Tango Gameworks. They did the first one also. It's Mikami's. It's his studio. He created.
Have they done anything else outside of Evil Within?
I don't think so. I'm gonna look that up really quick before I say that for sure. I'm almost positive it's no. But,
yeah, I'm gonna check too myself actually. Let's see, Tango.
Yeah, Tango Gameworks. Yeah, it's just both Evil Within games.
Okay, well apparently they did maybe some subcontracting on Doom and.
Oh yeah, okay.
Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc, the first one I guess that was, yeah. Because they're listed in credits there, but it's more. I would imagine that they're sort of secondary. Which, hey, you worked on Doom, or you worked on Doom. Maybe, hey, can we borrow one of you guys for like a week?
Yeah, it's not like Bethesda's hurting for shooter designers.
Yeah,
so they're.
I mean, hell, I've been screwing around with Fallout 4 a little bit, and I got to tell you, the shooting in that's actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's Fallout 4. With all the problems I have with it, I mean, the shooting was definitely better than it was in previous Fallout games.
Yeah, I mean that's very much damning with faint praise, but I mean I would put it up there with like a mediocre first-person shooter. Like it's not just a travesty.
Yeah, like you can totally play that game like a shooter.
Yeah,
So which is more than you can say about the other two games, 3 and New
Vegas. Yeah, for sure. So. All right, so Evil Within 2 so far you recommend it, but maybe if you're looking for just one horror game, you go with Resident Evil 7?
Yeah, so far. I mean, I'm only halfway through, see how it goes, but it's I'm digging it so far. It's been a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many video games I think that if the first, we'll say, act doesn't grab you, that they normally stick the landing, I suppose. Enough to swing you back around to like, oh no, this is the best thing ever. So.
Yeah, it's It is hard to recommend too because it's in a year full of great games. This is only a good game, so it's also like
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah. Speaking of good games, I thought I was going to be playing one, and then I ended up playing Golf Story for the Switch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you, this is it's a cute little like golf RPG that. I enjoyed the first, 5 or 6 hours of it. And as it drug on, and every hour after that was an hour too long. And I think I ended up wrapping it up at about 18 or 19 hours.
Wow. See, okay. So I've seen the very early hours of this game, and from what I could tell, it seemed like a game that should be about 6 hours long.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah,
because that is about when the goodwill I had for this game started wearing off, and the regular crashing and freezing would happen. I can't tell you if I ever had a crash or an issue with Breath of the Wild, which is a gigantic game, also made by a gigantic studio, but when you think about that and then compare it to Golf Story, which is just this very simple thing, and I would say it regularly has these issues. Like I'd say every couple hours, I would at the absolute least I would have these issues.
Oh wow.
There was one golf course where if I could not figure out exactly what it was that was causing it, but it seemed like I got to say, I think it was like the fourth hole on one of these. It would freeze up if I didn't get it like on at least on par. If I got up to the bogey thing, it would just freeze. Which
the game would freeze if you took too many shots.
yeah, just in this one spot on this one hole. But if I went above par, and if I missed the par shot and then moved on to the first bogey shot, it would just like basically freeze. Now it's not a complete freeze, like everything's moving, but it won't let you do anything, which is something that happens, which is a lot of these like freezes, which is a lot of these freezes in this game is you can still kind of move around. I also got stuck in geometry quite a bit. That made me reset.
Cool.
So, yeah. Like I said, this game was 6 hours long. I don't know that I wouldn't like recommend it to everyone to give it a shot, but at a 15 to 20 hour investment, I don't know. It's a tough one to like really push forward. It's when there's so many other like cool things you could play on the Switch for about the same price. I mean, Stardew Valley just got on there, and that's not a janky mess. So
yeah, that's a monster of a game too. You get into it. But,
Yep. There's a lot of good stuff on the Switch right now, and Golf Story. I don't know, like I kind of bought into the hype. I saw people that were playing it for review, like really got into it, and were like really like, oh hey, check all this stuff out. There's I think it was Andrew Reiner was tweeting about it, and there was a rap battle between the old fogies of a golf course and the young punks or whatever. And I thought, oh, that's a clever idea. That went on for I'd say 10 minutes.
Wow. Wait, a rap battle went on for 10 minutes?
Yes.
Jesus.
In text, mind you. So
okay.
I could see if this was like vocally and they had some talented rappers doing this. Sure, it might be interesting. But when you've just got reading text and text and text, and the puns start wearing very thin after a while, I mean, I think the key to this game is it just drags everything out. Where, I guess a typical golf game is 18 holes. This game suffers from where if it was a 9-hole game, it probably would have been better. If it had cut everything in half, or everything it did in half, I think it would have been a very easy recommendation. But being as long as it is, and the charm wearing off, and then just because of the length, and then everything that just the technical issues where I was having where it was crashing, I've got a hard time recommending this game.
Yes, it was kind of funny watching this, like the opinion or the discourse on this game kind of change as like it went from reviewers liking it to other people playing it and just like really being into the first few hours, or at least enjoying them. But I've yet to really hear people really sticking with this game, because I was not aware it was like 20 hours long. But,
yeah, I wasn't either. I actually asked Gore. I gave him a choice of like 3 or 4 games of like, hey, I need to write a review here. And these are 4 games I think I can get through relatively easily. And he ended up picking Golf Story, and I was kind of like, oh, good. I was leaning towards Golf Story, and oh man, I am kind of regretting that we both picked that one now, because now I've got to write about this thing too, on top of talking about it and having played it for 15 to 20 hours. So.
Yeah, the writing it doesn't seem like the writing would be able to hold up for 20 hours.
No,
it's a 3-click golf game, and does the golfing evolve in a way? Like, does it?
I mean, so there's interesting little things to it where you can play disc golf. There's like little challenges like throughout the level. People were making this big deal of like, you can just drop up a golf ball anywhere and hit a golf ball. I'm like, that's great, that's cute for the first 20 minutes of the game, and after that it's a mechanic I never used again, so I don't really so as you're going through the not actual like golf course, but I guess the club area, I suppose, I don't know, I'm totally unfamiliar with how golf works in like the country clubs. So, but I guess like the grassy areas before the actual courses you would go on, like there's little hidden things you can go do and side quests that are pretty cool. But for as long as this game is, like, at first I was really into getting through them, but like I said, as long as this game is, it starts wearing thin very quickly. It's like, oh god, okay, I gotta do how many of these now? Okay. There's even a stage later where you have to thaw out a bunch of people by hitting your golf ball in, or like, well, first you have to get this like fire going, and you have to, there's a meter that gets smaller and smaller each time you like click into it. Basically just a test of, seeing if you can, or just a timing test effectively. And I mean, after a while, I just sat there and just like, okay, my timing's just a hair off. So I just sat there and just mashing on the button, and it just eventually hits it. No problem. So it starts a fire, and then from that fire, you hit a golf ball at some of these things that are frozen. And some of them are odd, and they're a little hard to hit, and the wind can get in your way, and there's a lot of little frustration things to this game, especially like once you get onto the green. It gives you this arrow of what direction it's sloping, and if it's a medium, like slight, or I forget what the term is for the like drastic slope would be, but I had such a hard time figuring out, like, I mean, as much as I play this game, I never really figured it out, like, just how hard I would have to hit a ball and where I would have to hit it to get it if I was, going for a long putt. It would always just be, well, I might as well just try to chip it in, because at least there I can, adjust for the wind, and that's all I have to adjust for. Whereas if you're putting from a long distance, you're adjusting for the wind and the slope. So it's
okay.
And there's really no discerning way of figuring out, like I said, it'll tell you medium, slight, or whatever the one is for the bigger slope, but it doesn't really give you enough information to compensate for it. So
okay, so is the progression not very satisfying? That's what you're saying? Like, just like the whole,
it's the same loop over and over again, and it's cute, but like I said, this is a game that should have been 5 or 6 hours, not 15 to 20.
Yeah, how's the world design? I know it's got a bunch of different overworlds. I've seen.
I like them, except you revisit them so frequently. They get a little old. I mean, there's one where it's like an archaeological dig, and there's like dinosaur bones, which I thought was kind of cool. But even that, like, it's like, okay, well, that's great. And it's not really. I mean, there's like weird little traps that they throw in, like the actual like golf course when you actually have to go through the golf game itself. They'll have moles that will come in. If you hit it in their area, they will pick up the ball and move them. Some will actually move them in spots closer to the green for you, which is kind of helpful. Some of them will move them way out in the middle of nowhere and into trees. So it's like, oh, great, thanks. So, I mean, there's a pretty good golf game in here, except, like I said, the problem is they drag it out just too long. Like I said, just 5 or 6 hours, this game would have been like an easy recommendation. But like I said, as long as it is, I would say veer away from this thing, because you're going to play it for a few hours and get kind of tired of it probably. I mean, if you can, like, I thought like when I was at like hour 7 or 8, I was like, oh, good, this is coming up at the end here. And then it just keeps going. You're like, ooh, okay, you guys are really doing this, huh? All right. Like, they found, like, there was a good stopping point that they could have stopped and then like done a sequel, and I would have been okay with buying the sequel, but a few months later. But just to continuously play this, it just gets very, very tiring. And there's no real loop, I guess, like there would be in like Stardew Valley or something like that, where it's like, okay, I just check in, or like even Animal Crossing, where it's like, okay, I just check in and do this for a few days or whatever, or do this for like an hour a day every day. Yeah. This is just very much just, okay, I'm doing the same thing over again. And like I said, the writing just, it's cute, but it wears out its charm after 6 to 8 hours. So yeah, that's been Golf Story. So
all right,
it's been great. Great, yeah. Sometimes that does make me wonder, like, who actually finishes these games when they review them? Because I'm like, I read these reviews and I'm like, did you guys play the same game I played? Because man, this got old after a while. Yeah,
like I said, the reviews seemed pretty positive, but I feel like everyone else around it was not as high on it. I feel like you're probably the most negative I've heard about it, but it's like, I've not seen anyone really sticking with this game for that has been playing it. So,
and that might be why I'm one of the more negatives on it, is because I stuck with it because I'm gonna write a review for it. So, whereas if I wasn't planning on doing that, it would probably be pretty easy to just put it down and be like, okay, that was fun, and just forget it, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go on to John. I should have probably given you a little bit more of a heads up if we're going to move on to this segment here. But why don't
you mean Jason's Ultra Shame Pile EX plus Alpha Arcade Edition?
Yes, that's exactly right. So okay, yeah, it's been like what, a month since we've done this, maybe a little bit longer. So this
sure,
is, something like that. I don't know. It's been a while, but so we've got not a substantial, but a substantial list. I mean, this isn't the like 20-something games I bought in 1 week. But this is still 20-something games now that I'm looking at it. So, Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, and Deus Ex Go for iOS devices. I figured it'd be a nice little fit for my Apple TV. So,
was there a sale with all of them? Or
they were like $1 each. So,
okay. Do you have a favorite out of those? Have you played them?
John, come on. Yeah. How long have we been doing this, and how long have you known me?
I didn't mean now. I meant like prior to this.
No. Heavens, no. I don't know.
They're very well received games. Those Lara Croft Go games, especially, are very well received.
Yeah. If I'm gonna dig into one of them, Deus Ex would probably just be the first one, just because that's the one I'm the most attached to, like series wise. So.
I'd probably go Hitman, just mostly mechanic wise. It seemed most interesting to me.
Yeah, I can see that one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got a review code for it, but of course I bought the Ease 8 Lacrimosa of Dana limited edition for the PS4.
All right,
Yeah, well,
I hear that game is pretty good.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So, Metroid: Samus Returns. No, haven't played it. It's sitting in my 3DS right now. That was one of the games I was going to play. That was given to Gore as an option. So.
That's the one I picked. I think when you asked, I'm pretty sure that's the one I said.
But yeah, I think you're right. So, John. Should listen to you, Gore. Bugger off, man. Thanks, asshole. You had me going for like 15 to 20 hours of just like, why am I playing this still?
Yeah, and he gave you Evil Within a 4 out of 5. He's done. Get out of here.
Gore, you're fired.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I fired poor Gore. Jeez. Anyway, I should have probably waited. Like, I think it's like the next week it came out on the PS4 for the same price, but because now I might actually have friends who I could have talked into buying it, and we could have played it like twice. Star Wars Battlefront, the Ultimate Edition on Xbox One.
The first one?
Yeah.
That's really good timing on that one.
Hey, it was like $5, man. I mean,
I know it's because the second one comes out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, but all those loot boxes and stuff. I mean, maybe people won't jump over. I don't know, whatever. So. We'll talk about that game's
going to make a lot of money.
Oh,
don't even do it. It's going to be
there's a Star Wars logo on it. I mean, people
stupid amounts of money.
people have a like fond remembrance of Bounty Hunter, a game that is not good. So
it's really any Star Wars game has fans.
Yeah, there's even that like isometric like
Jedi Power Battle
1 game.
I think it's Jedi Power Battles.
Is that it? Yeah, there are people who like that game. I'm like, no, what is wrong with you? Have you not played a video game before this one?
I played that demo a lot as a child.
That's okay. You played a demo. That was free.
Yeah, I also liked the first movie when I was a child. So
there you
go. It worked. His whole like it's for the kids basically.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about people my age.
Yeah.
Who, when the first episode came out, they were. Late teens, early 20s. Yeah, there is no. I will say this: I liked episode 1 when the first time I watched it. Second time I went to watch it, I was like, I don't know. I think I was just happy to see Star Wars again. Why?
The lightsaber battle at the end's good.
Yep, and that's a whole whopping 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it's better than the second one. The second one's so bad.
Yeah.
That love scene.
But they always seem to up the stakes in the lightsaber battles, like with those first 3. The first one had a good one, the second one had a really good one, and the third one I thought had a really, really good one. And then it's just like, it's like, seriously, can we just make a movie of just lightsaber battles? That's really all I want to see.
Yeah, the third one's solid. It's a solid movie.
I would say it's a solid average movie. Like, if it didn't have a Star Wars name attached to it, it would just be kind of Hayden Christensen doesn't help anything by being in it. I mean, God, so wooden.
He's really bad. Remember when he floats that apple to her? I remember when he complains about how coarse the sand is. Remember when he's in that movie? It's just being in that. Remember when he's just in that movie?
Yeah. Well, remember how angry he gets, and then how dull he delivers the lines. Like, you wouldn't like this because I'm angry, and I wish I could sound angry, but I don't know what a human being sounds like when they talk with emotion. So I'm just going to say it like this.
Remember how he marries?
No, constipated.
Remember how he marries the young adult lady that met him as a child? Remember?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like totally like marrying the pedophile that molested you as a child. It's like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great film. Okay,
let's move on. Why? Sometimes I really do think, like, why the hell do I like Star Wars? And then I think, I'm like, I don't like it that much, I guess.
I'm kind of like, I like it when it's good. Episode 7's good.
Yeah.
Rogue One's good. I really like Rogue One, actually. I'm a big fan of Rogue One.
I thought it was okay. I mean, it was a kind of a just dumb action flick, I thought, for the most part, so.
Looking forward to 8. Hope they can keep it up. It should be pretty good.
Yeah. I'll probably go see that in like January or whatever. Anyway, here, Golf Story.
Oh, that's been our Star Wars minute.
Yeah, Golf Story. Golf Story is the next thing I bought. Pokemon Gold and Silver on the 3DS Virtual Console.
That's my favorite Pokemon. Gold is my favorite Pokemon game. So.
I played a little bit of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think, and I never actually played because I had this weird thing of. Like, I'm super into Pokemon now, but, like, when I was, like, a teenager in high school when the first ones came out, I played Red and Blue, both of them, and traded with myself because I had a original Game Boy and a Game Boy Pocket. And like I said, at the school I went to, which was a little, we'll say, rough, I think the bravest thing I've ever done in my life is bringing out a Game Boy and playing Pokemon in that school. So, how I did not get murdered or beat up every day because of that is beyond me. So yeah, that's but then I skipped over every single Pokemon game from there up until I think I picked up Diamond, played it for a little bit and put it down, and then it wasn't until X and Y came out that I actually like really got into Pokemon. So
I played. I didn't play. I think I played Ruby, and then I didn't play a new one until Black and White came out.
Okay.
I think I played. Yeah.
Now I have all of them from the DS up, so I have all, like, was it 3? No. What is there? Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Black, White 2, and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then I've got, man, there's like 4 generations or 4 games basically on each.
Ruby, Emerald, and Sapphire.
Well, I'm just talking about the DS.
Oh, it's just the DS.
The DS, and then the 3DS I've got XY, Sun Moon, and then Alpha Sapphire, and why am I blanking on the other one? Omega Ruby. That's it. So I've got those.
Oh, right.
But yeah, but now there's Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon coming out, so that's like 4 freaking editions, I guess, if you want to word it that way, of Pokemon on. Damn, that's a lot. Jeez, I didn't even think about that. Man, that's a hefty investment I've made. That is a hefty investment I've made over the years. God damn, I didn't even think about that. Anyway, okay, let's move on. I didn't play it, so don't ask. Cuphead. It was on Wario64 tweeted it was like $16, I think, on Newegg or something like that. So I bought it because it was one I wanted to play. Actually, that was one of the games that was another one of the games I had asked Score.
I would have picked that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I really wish I had. Getting back to my strategy game dorkness, I guess. Battle Worlds Chronos for the Xbox One. Haven't played it. Really want to play it. Don't know when I'll play it, or if, I guess, is the.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's just like a futuristic strategy game. So.
Cool.
Blue Reflection, which is I think I wrote a news story about this or a blog or something, like it's basically a magical girl RPG. Seemed interesting enough. I played a couple hours of it, and I liked what I played of it. It just, I think that was when Golf Story came out, and then I went over to Golf Story, and man, I wish I feel like
we should just like put it right now. There's like BG and AG for you right now. There's before Golf Story and after Golf Story.
Well, we should also probably do during Golf Story.
Yeah.
Sucked up more of my life than anyway, sorry. I don't know why I'm so angry about this, but it's like, it was a stupid game. I should have just moved on and just stopped playing it and moved on to something else to review. But I was like, hey,
that's probably why you hate it so much, because you hate played it.
Yeah. I felt forced to finish it. So I picked up Portal 2 because I never actually played it.
You've never played Portal 2?
No, sir.
So Portal 2 is a damn good game.
Yeah, that's one I'm gonna get into because I really do want to play it. It's one of those, like, I don't know, like the first Portal, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's just, I think it got so memed to death that I don't know, it felt almost toxic to me. Like I didn't want to go anywhere near it.
I can understand that, but I think Portal is so good that I don't care at this point. It's just too good to let people. Like, I mean, speaking of that, like it's this week, I think, was the 10th anniversary of the Orange box coming out.
Yep.
One of the probably the greatest deal in video game history.
Yeah. I wish there was a way that they could have like kept like updating Team Fortress 2, because man, I played the shit out of that on the 360.
I played a lot of Half-Life 2 and Portal. Team Fortress 2 was my least favorite thing on there. I liked it. It was my least favorite of the games. God, what a package.
Yeah. I mean, any of those games could have been a game by itself. I mean, actually, they did release Portal on Xbox Live Arcade eventually by itself.
Yeah, they did.
So
it's also kind of sad because all those franchises have seen nothing since Portal 2.
Yeah.
None of this is 2011, so 6 years since any of those franchises have any new game.
Yeah, I mean, granted, Team Fortress 2 is constantly updated. I mean, I mean, they seem to update that every couple months still. So
yeah, like it's very. I don't know how much Overwatch took from its fan base. I'm sure it still does very well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Counter-Strike, the original one, is still going strong, and I remember, going to an
update.
God, I don't understand how that game is still so popular, but I mean, people still play that thing, and I mean,
they're updating the Dust this week to the new Dust 2, I guess is technically what it is, but there's a new update for it coming out. So
yeah, I mean, I remember people playing that, like taking I think it was Anthony's brother Vinny to this like computer cafe that we had out here for a while, and just like going to like a LAN thing, and I sat down and played with them for a little bit, and I was like, man, I don't like this. So but yeah, it was me. Anyway, bought Stardew Valley for the Switch.
Okay.
Let me see. I think it's just like an isometric, it's just an isometric kind of RPG. Zenith for the Xbox, or for the Xbox One. I think it was like $5 again. So that is definitely my sticking point for a game. I almost don't care how likely it is that I'm not going to play it. At $5, if it's something I'm interested in, most likely I'll just buy it. So,
okay.
And that also goes into this one. I don't like the property that it's based on, but I've heard that it's a pretty great game. Mad Max.
I've heard it's an okay game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as great, I mean, just goes like, better than maybe it should have been, I suppose. Because, God, I think that was one of those. Didn't that come out about the same time as something else?
It came out in 2015.
Yeah. There was something else I think it came out like right around it. And
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, was it?
I think it was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You come up against that monster. Yeah. Good luck.
I think I can check if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it. Here, I'll bring up the next one then while you're checking. Then Lego Marvel's Avengers, just because my son is really, really into Spider-Man right now. So I thought it'd be kind of fun for him and I to play like when he gets a little older and can hold on to a controller without slobbering all over it. So
it came out September 1st. I caught that. It was just a let's see. I'm pretty sure MGS5 came out like a week or two after that.
Oh, okay. Yep. No.
Yeah, it came out the same exact day, September 1st. It came out on the same exact day.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that would have gotten steamrolled. I mean, what the hell? That poor studio. It's like, what were you doing? Why would you put that out at the same time?
Yeah, I heard someone compare like it to the new Shadow of War game in terms of just like a fun open world, but a terrible story, and kind of, but also kind of been there, done that, because it's, it uses the Batman combat like so many other open world games do at this point. But
okay,
yeah.
Let's see. Because we'll just say XBlig, but Xbox Live indie games went down. I went and bought a bunch of them that I had like the demos of sitting that were kind of like at least interesting to me, and I just never got around to actually playing or trying out to see if I wanted to buy them. So I just bought them for the hell of it. One of them actually it's the, I guess predecessor to oh man, I'm forgetting what the name of it is now. Gotcha Protectors, I think, on 3DS. But Protect Me Knight is the name of this one. Joe is actually the one who brought it to my attention that it was on there, and I was like, "Oh, I should get that before that service goes down." So, Magicians and Looters, Valkyrius. It's a. That's just a shooter, like a shmup. So, And I think that was all of them. Yeah, it was just the three I bought there that I hadn't gotten around to actually playing. So,
Okay.
let me see. These were on sale for I think a couple of bucks on or a couple weeks ago. So Sega Bass Fishing, Crazy Taxi, and was there something else? No, that was it because whatever the other one was that was on sale, I had it already on Xbox Live Arcade. So
I forgot they got all those Sega games on there.
yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I mean, I don't know how like interested I am, but for a couple bucks, like I'm sure my daughter will play Crazy Taxi like twice, and that will be worth it because I've bought her stuff and she'll mess with it once and never touch it again. So she keeps trying to get me to get Minecraft and Roblox for her, and I'm like, no.
My little brother loves Minecraft.
I think we talked about this with Frankie before, but it just whatever it is in your brain that it just there's nothing in there for me for that. Yeah.
Well, see, I really don't like playing with Legos that much. So I think I really don't have it in my brain. Like I've never.
Yeah. See, I played with Legos as a kid, but it was all the stuff you could just buy, and it was, it was the sets or whatever. But it was like the knight or the medieval castle with the knights and the dragons and.
Yeah.
Like that was the stuff. Like it was more like me just an excuse to play with like knights and dragons and stuff. That was. I remember what I did was like it was just like, oh hey, this set of knights is invading this castle against this set of knights. That was what I did. It didn't have to be Legos. It could have just been a plastic castle with different looking knights, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
But
and see, I was the same way, but I would just get sets of stuff that didn't require me to build anything in any way. So it's like I was a Transformers kid too. Those were already made. You said to flip them around.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Transformers.
I think I was into them a little bit, but Voltron was more what got me when I was there. So when I was that age, but Voltron was new back then. So and so was Transformers. Oh god. Okay. Anyway, Namco Museum for the Switch. So
I played that a lot on PS1. I played a lot of those games on there.
Yeah, I actually bought the 5 I think Namco museums that they released, digitally or whatever on PlayStation Network. So I bought all 5 of those and played them quite a bit too.
Did Hamster do those or not?
No, I think Bandai handled it internally. So
okay.
Yeah, no, Bandai handled this internally. So, honestly, the main reason I wanted this was Rolling Thunder. Like, that's like one of those arcade games that I remember like being super like in love with and could just never get very far in it because it's the nature of arcade games is to suck up all the money you have very quickly. Yeah. But so having this to actually mess around with is kind of nice.
Yeah, I have it on I have a Neo Geo Gold and I have Rolling Thunder on there.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's a pretty solid game. I mean, like the animation for the time, it's like really smooth. Like it's a pretty cool looking game. So.
Yeah, like those Neo Geo games are gorgeous.
All right, Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen for the PS4.
Have you played Dragon's? You did. We talked about this. You love Dragon.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. I am. Yeah. I will hard stomp for the series basically. Like I want more Dragon's Dogma.
I was gonna say like because I forgot that you super loved it. We've talked about it before, but I was gonna say like totally a game you would like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it totally is. So
yeah.
I mean, I wrote the review for it like way back when, which is why I haven't really played it because I'm trying to play stuff that I can write about without repeating myself. But man, that is a game I want to go back to so badly because I really, really, really enjoy Dragon's Dogma, and yeah,
it's a good game. It's a weird game. It's really good
for sure. It's one of those games like it was sort of I just popped it on and played it, and it just like stuck with me, and I was like, ooh, okay, whatever they did, it clicked with Jason's brain. So, and that's. When something does that with me, it's dangerous. So that's just something I can sink my life into. And man, it felt like I did because I think the original iteration of this podcast, I think it was like 3 episodes I talked about it, and we would split up our recording sessions like every 2 or 3 weeks. And okay. I only had one kid at the time, and she was very small, so I was playing this a lot.
Yeah, I didn't finish it. I feel like I put like 30, 40 hours into it though. I really liked it.
I wish there was a way I could figure out how many hours I'd put into it. Like I think it was like 40 something probably would be my guess, but man, I loved the hell out of that game. So anyway, Raiden 5 director's cut for the PS4.
Okay.
I already had it for the Xbox One, but I wanted the physical edition. I don't know. With seeing like XBLA go away and everything, I'm more and more inclined to buy physical stuff I like. I know I might want to play, somewhere down the road again. So, and shmups are kind of evergreen, I suppose. Those are things
Yeah,
I'm
they're
going
kind
back to. So
yeah, they're kind of you know what you're going, you know what you're getting every time.
yeah,
They age very well.
Dragon Quest Heroes 2. Another one that
Okay.
was on sale for like $22. I dug the first one enough that I was like, I'll get the second one. And then this one probably surprised you actually, and I really want to play it. And I think maybe you, me, and Frankie should maybe do a game club on it. Prey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those games
Uh,
like it sounded intriguing enough to me that I wanted to give it a shot. So I figured for I think it was like $15 I picked it up for.
I haven't thought about Prey in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of interesting to do, especially now that it's.
The game is very long.
Yeah, I've heard like 20 something hours.
That's at least.
Yeah, I mean, Golf Story was near that long though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so that's everything I bought in the last month or whatever it's been. I don't think it was too terrible. So, considering, like I said, there was
Good games in there.
there was 1 week where I bought like 20 something in between. The one episode we did the week before, and then that episode I bought 20 something games, which is oof. There is something wrong with me. So I think so. Anyway, okay, so let's move on to the news here real quick.
1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
Before we get the news, I forgot to mention this. Overwatch doing a Halloween event right now for the month. It goes till November 3rd. And new skins. Brought back Junkenstein's Revenge, which is a PvE wave-based thing. It's fun. The skins are nice. Overwatch's still great. That's all I got.
Okay, wow, okay. I was actually gonna like dig for my water and like take a break and let you talk and check out mentally.
I don't need to pimp like one of the greatest games ever made right now.
Yeah.
It's
one of the greatest selling games of all time and concurrently played and all that. Yeah. So that's good.
yeah. It's but yeah, that's going on for the next couple weeks.
Cool.
Enjoy, everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure they will be. They're probably not listening to this. They're probably playing Overwatch instead of listening. So, because new stuff. Anyway, so news. First little bit we got here is Humble bought IGN, or Humble was bought by IGN, which weird. So if you're not familiar, Humble is they started off as like a bundle kind of store thing. So if you would, you give a certain amount of money, you would get a certain amount of games. You could like divide up how many of your dollars go to like the developer, the publisher, and yada yada yada. Which that was a cool idea, but this going to IGN, I mean, I don't know, it'd be almost. Well, never mind. I was gonna say it would almost be like a video game store buying a magazine. So. Well, that's awkward, isn't it? Well, here we go now. So, but I mean, they're selling stuff, not actually. I don't know. It's weird. It's
gonna be a lot of 10 things you won't expect to find in a Humble bundle.
Yeah,
on articles on IGN now.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of retrospectives on or republishing of articles of stuff that are on Humble bundles now. So.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's odd. I don't know what to make of this, honestly. What it means. Yeah.
Let's see.
So,
yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, and I mean it's business. But I mean, IGN is owned by a larger corporation. I'm just surprised like the larger corporation didn't buy Humble. This way, it would have seemed a little less potentially skeevy. I mean, IGN is of course saying that. Hell no, we're gonna keep ourselves separate from that and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah, blah.
it
Ethics
seems
in games journalism. That's what it's about, right? So.
Yeah, it does seem like a conflict of interest based on, but that site does a lot of stuff. They cover everything, even outside of video games. They cover a lot of stuff. So honestly,
yeah,
it's
Yeah, and I mean, man, if you thought we were sporadic with our hey, we're gonna do this and not pulling through with it, those people make money doing this, and they have a Game of Thrones podcast where I think it was like what month and a half ago that the season finale hit, and I'm still waiting for the promised. Oh yeah, we're gonna wrap up the whole season again. We're gonna talk about the whole season, and I'm like, okay, it's been a while, guys. You gonna do that? All right.
I usually for IGN, I usually look at the reviews at least for games that I like, but I use their website for stuff outside of video games mostly. Honestly, a lot of just their whole nerd culture, as they say.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, like, the only thing I was still kind of clinging on to with IGN was Nintendo Voice Chat, and with Jose now gone, I think like I listened to this last one and I got about maybe halfway through it and just was like, nah, I'm good.
I don't watch any of their videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't watch videos in general for the most part. So, I mean, but this is just like listening to their podcast, and I think I might be unsubscribing to that one. So I think it might be the last thing of IGN, because really the only person there that I would care to follow anymore might be Marty Sleva, but that just might be a affectionate thing because of One Up. So
yeah,
I think it might be the end of that. So. But anyway, let's see. Okay, moving on here. The aforementioned game that I bought, Cuphead, has sold 1 million copies in a week, which, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, good for them.
Especially for a downloadable game.
Yeah.
It's that game is fucking gorgeous, though. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and they, they had I forget who it was that was on the Game Informer show a couple weeks ago, but man, they gambled hard on that game. I mean, they took out second mortgages on their houses for it, and I mean,
yeah,
they gambled hard on it. I'm glad to see it paid off because from what I've heard, it's a tough game, but it's good. So
yeah, I was surprised at how much I'd always heard is very Mega Man like, but really it's like a Contra Gunstar Heroes game.
Yeah.
It's the amount of work they had to put in that game, like the animation in that game is fucking flawless.
Oh god, yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I don't know how they swung that, but man, they nailed that game. It looks gorgeous. So, let's see. The next little bit of brief news we'll go over here. Again, the aforementioned thing I purchased, Ease 8. The president of NAS America actually, I think I put it up on Twitter, or a screenshot of the email I got from them, apologizing for the localization of Ease 8. Now, I'm gonna say I think we talked about this when we talked about it after I reviewed it. I did find the story a little like meh, but I think I mentioned that I don't really go to Ease. I don't go to Ease games for stories.
Yeah, you made a point to say that. So
yeah, this story was kind of like, I don't know, like it was obvious because I've partaken of media outside of video games before. So I mean, it's like, oh, okay, I see where this is going, but it was interesting enough to kind of keep me going. Some of the characters are just, anime tropes for the most part. But, I mean, I didn't think it was too terrible, but we talked about this off the air. I think a lot of the reason why I didn't find it too terrible was back in the early 2000s, I would import anime DVDs off eBay, which were just bootlegs, where they would translate the Japanese into Mandarin and then into English from there. So you try watching the end of Evangelion with that kind of translation, and Ease 8 seems like a masterpiece. So I think my brain just kind of fills in the gaps there. It's like, okay, got it. It's like, yeah, I didn't have to pause each time a sentence would pop up like I did on the end of Evangelion. Like, okay, what does that mean? Oh, God.
And I'm just thinking about that movie. That fucking movie's nuts.
No, yeah.
Yeah. It's the end of that movie is.
The whole movie was just, yeah. I mean, I told you the story behind like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a big like, oh, you weren't happy with the ending? Well, fuck you. Here, I'll just kill everyone. How's that?
It's like if you look up nihilism in the dictionary, it's just a picture. It's just the last shot and
just the cover art for that movie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. I forget the guy's name. It's like Anno, Hideki Anno, I think was the one who
sounds right.
Sounds right. Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, like his thing was like he got like death threats and like angry letters. I was gonna say emails, but when this came out, it might not have been a big thing. But anyway, about the end of of the TV run of Evangelion, and that movie was just a response to that, basically, just a big like, oh, you weren't happy with it? Well, guess what? I'll come up with something and I'll just kill everyone. So fuck you. That was basically what that movie was, which I thought was kind of cool. It's like, oh, okay, so it's like, well, this is just a definitive, like, oh, go fuck off. I don't care if you like it or not. Here, now everyone's dead. There's nothing to parse out of it. They're all dead. So it's like, ooh, okay. That scene with Asuka getting her hand, like, or her arm split in four, still, oof,
yeah.
Boy. One of the most uncomfortable things I've ever seen in anime, and I've seen hentai, so.
Yeah, man, it's I've been thinking about watching Evangelion again recently.
That is something I've been wanting to watch again too. Like I watched, what is it? The remake things that have.
Yeah, I have two of those. The movies you talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two of those. They're all right. They're
a little too abridged for me, but
yeah, but I think they at least cover the good stuff. But they look good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is nice to be able to look at those on not 4:3 ratio DVDs that are kind of hard to look at these days. So
yeah.
I mean, some DVDs that come out these days, they not comparable, but at least don't look terrible when put on a big screen like that, or like a big screen TV. Whereas some of the, we'll say, older DVDs, the compression's so bad on them that you watch them and you're like,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is a lot of my anime collection, unfortunately. So it kind of is making me like want to hook up my old CRT TV to a DVD player just to watch them there. It's like
my most anime I have is Blu-ray stuff, but it's stuff that you don't, it's easy to get Blu-ray stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking like like Berserk.
Yeah.
I rewatched that, and man, that is hard to watch on that is hard to watch on an HD TV, a big HD TV. It doesn't look that great when filtered out like that. So yeah. But anyway, okay. So getting back to Ys 8, So they're basically going to be redoing the localization on that, which I don't know. I'm kind of for it, but now it's like I'm a little worried like that could almost hurt the game's sales, because it seemed like it had a pretty good momentum of popularity going. And now, like, the localization thing's hitting, and people are, I don't know, it could be similar to the, the Final Fantasy 15 thing with the Chapter 13 or whatever, where people were announcing, or, where they announced that, oh, we're gonna touch it up, and then it just sort of this thing of, well, I'm gonna wait to buy it until they fix it. So, yeah, I don't know. That's got me a little concerned. Like, Ys 8 is a fantastic game, and I would almost be I'd be hard pressed to say that it wasn't my favorite Ys game now. So, because going like even New Game Plus, like I'm going back to it and I'm still like just loving the shit out of the combat of that game. So it's like, okay, I could play this again easily. I could probably play it 3 times through without too much effort. So it's just the length of it's the issue with that. So I really wish I had more time to spare to it, because God, I would love to play that game multiple times. I would love to try to even put that on Nightmare, which is I think the hardest difficulty, and see how far I get, because even on normal that I play it on, it's not hard, but it's definitely tricky. So
yeah, I'm gonna play it eventually this year. I'm gonna get to it. Probably end of November-ish, December. We'll see what comes out around then. But
yeah, somewhere around that ballpark. Yeah, I was gonna say because we've got Wolfenstein, Assassin's Creed, and Mario Odyssey coming out in like 2 weeks. So yeah. It's like, hey, 3 of the biggest games of the year, all on the same day.
Did you see the Edge review from Mario?
No.
That they did? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there's a quote in there that's it's talking about there might not be as many Korok as many moons as there are Korok seeds, but it's not that far off.
Oh, Christ on a crutch. Okay. So we're talking in the hundreds. Okay, wonderful. Well.
Yeah, I think they gave it a perfect score on Edge. It's like their 10th ever perfect score they've given.
Huh. Okay.
So I didn't really I just saw some excerpts from the review. I didn't want to spoil anything for myself.
No, I completely understand that.
Yeah. But that game it's got a lot of promise. I hope it lives up to it.
I'm sure it will. I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, I was talking with Luke about this the other day, and just like whatever part of the thing that like used to do it for me for Mario games, it's just not there anymore. So
Yeah, for me, I just hope it's not a Sunshine. Because even though I don't hate Sunshine,
yeah.
but I think sometimes like a glorified tech demo, for being honest, though. But I don't.
You should maybe you should listen to the episode of Retronauts from like last week. They talked about that actually and how much that they don't think it's really held up over the years. So
it definitely hasn't. Camera is inverted horizontally and vertically, and you can't change it.
Yeah, and I think there's like 3 different camera schemes or whatever. Like, when you're doing certain things, the camera changes, and I don't know.
The camera's terrible.
The way they were talking about it, I was like, okay, no thanks. So anyway, moving on from Mario Sunshine there. Johnny, I want to talk a little bit about loot boxes here. There's been a lot of controversy about that because what is it? Shadow of War is doing them.
Yeah. Forza.
Yeah. There's, I don't know.
Overwatch has their event this week, so it's starting this week. So it's also it comes up. Destiny has them now. Mm-hmm. In the form, they're still called engrams in Destiny, but you pay real money for this specific kind. So it's basically a loot box, just a different name for it. But they've been a lot of games this year. Call of Duty has them now. Battlefield has them now. They've had them for the last couple of years, but like it's just like it feels like almost every major release has loot boxes now, and it's not just multiplayer games. Like Shadow of War, I think, was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people.
Yeah, there's been a lot of negativity about that one. And I can completely understand why. Because it just requires you to grind like hell if you don't buy them.
Yeah, and I watched a quick look, and everything I understand is you don't need to do it for the weapons and armor. That stuff drops plenty. It's getting like the orcs for your fortresses, which is where the money comes in. But and in the end game apparently is where it's almost like you have to pay to succeed, from what people are saying. So I can't confirm or deny that. I've not played the game. I don't think I will play the game. Maybe when it's cheap, I'll give it a shot. But I just watching the quick look, like they put the loot box stuff in the marketplace front and center in that game. Like it's all over the place, and it feels gross when you see it that much, especially in a single player game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's not just cosmetic stuff. That's the big issue. It's just
there's just a button for market on the screen at all times, and it's got like daily challenges and stuff. And I inherently don't have a problem with loot boxes. I think it's a way for the developer to make money. As long as it's cosmetic, I don't give a damn. I'm not going to spend real money on it. I don't really like if you can, as long as you earn it in the game, that's all I care about. Mm-hmm. But and developers need to make money, so we don't have to spend more than $60 on games. So
which I'm fine with because freaking like Chrono Trigger and Phantasy Star 4, those are like $100 games.
Yeah, like games used to be $50 for a while, and then Activision started selling them for $60, and then everyone else did. So all it takes is one person to succeed doing it, and then everyone else is going to start doing it. So, and they need because the games are expensive. Games are really expensive. Like those Kickstarters that people make generally don't cover a fraction of the cost of the actual game. So it's just so I inherently do not have a problem with loot boxes. I understand why they're there. Companies are going to make money somehow. So, and you don't have to buy them.
Company's going to company. So,
yeah. And then the ESRB recently deemed loot boxes not gambling. I think that's been a big issue this week too. People talking about. So, and they compared it to collectible card games, and like getting booster packs in card games.
Because makes sense.
I see that comparison. I think it's an apt comparison, and because you're always guaranteed to get something, unlike in gambling where you're not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to get anything.
Yeah, you're likely to not get anything.
Yeah. So, and in loot boxes, you are guaranteed to get something. So that's why they deemed it not quite gambling. So it's just it's I feel like we're reaching critical mass here, and it's either gonna get worse, which is the most likely situation,
Yeah.
until or companies are gonna realize it's going. They're starting to go too far with it, and they're gonna pull back a little bit. I assume it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, I mean, if we're getting upset about this right now,
yeah.
they're gonna do loot boxes where to get certain things, it is the only way you can do it. Get certain things, like plain and simple, and they're not just cosmetic stuff, like like in Shadow of War, or there's like, I mean, I get you can get these things, but in game, but you have to grind up for them like a ridiculous amount. Where I think the breaking point will probably be where, hey, the only way you can get this is loot boxes, and it's some like crazy strong like late game item or something like that.
Yeah, as soon as it starts affecting gameplay in a large way, and at least in games that in a AAA game like that, as soon as that happens, that's gonna be a big issue. People are gonna have a fit, because that already happens in free to play games all the time. Like there are plenty of shitty games on iOS and whatnot that do that. But
yeah, I mean Fire Emblem Heroes, they're pretty good at that.
Final Fantasy game, All the Bravest.
Oh, that one is the
yeah.
worst. Holy God.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that was the first 1-star review I'd ever given.
They deserved it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is weird, though, because I really don't have that big a problem with loot boxes. Like I said, you just don't buy them. I don't. And then people are talking about gambling addiction, which is a real thing, too. But and then a part of me would want to say, like, if it's that bad, you need to get some help. If it's like, if you just can't.
That's my thing. It's like, okay, so you recognize that you have a problem, but you're not going to do anything about it? Most people that don't do anything about it don't recognize they have a problem. But you recognizing that you have a problem means you have a problem, and you should be proactive about it, not getting pissed off at people or putting it there. I mean, yes, I can understand getting angry about it, because it's like, it's skeevy that people do this, that they take advantage of human nature and like, conditions. But you already see you have a problem, so do something about it. I mean, I'm sorry. You can't always sit there and like, oh, everyone should take care of me. It's like, occasionally you got to take care of yourself.
And it's a weird situation, and it's hard for me to even fault the company, because honestly, like I said, companies want to make money, and they're gonna do all they can to make money.
That's what they're there for. They're not there to pat you on the butt and have a good time. Yeah, I mean, video games are a product. I mean, whether you want to, argue about them being art or not, they're still a product. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus is like what a lot of people hold up as a, as a piece of art, but it still had to sell.
Yeah, so. And there's a reason there has this recent Last Guardian took forever to come out. So, like, companies need to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Yeah. I hope it doesn't get to some. I hope it doesn't affect a game that I like a lot. I don't know. It's just, we'll see next year. I think we'll see next year what happens. It's because it seems like it's just so many games this year have it.
Yeah, I think in 2 years might be when we see the effects of the pushback that we're getting now, just because the development time and everything. I think in 2 years might be when we start seeing the first, like, okay, is this getting worse, or are they going to pull back a little bit?
Yeah, it's companies are going to push as hard as they can until they can't anymore. So that's eventually it's just up to the consumer at that point. So if you want them to stop buying them. It's like that's the only way. That's the only way they're really gonna, like, you gotta hit them where it hurts, and the only place it hurts a company is the wallet.
Yep.
So
that's it. I mean, you can sit there and bitch and moan about it all you want, but if you gave them your $60 already and you're buying loot crates, you're not helping. You're making it worse. You're proving their points that, oh, we should be doing this. And again, I am 100% that I think it's disgusting that companies want to, take advantage of that, I guess. But again, there are people who don't understand that they've got a problem, that they have an addiction, that they need to get help. But if your immediate reaction is, well, I need all the things, and they're taking advantage of the fact that I want to do this, then it's like, well, realize you've got the problem and don't buy into it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's just digital stuff. You don't need to get it. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I mean,
Shadow of War has a shit ton of content from what I can tell. Like that game is bloated, so it's not like it's apparently just the end game that's the real problem.
Yeah.
So, but
and I mean, yeah, you're paying $60 for this game that, I mean, from everything I've heard, at least twice as long as Shadow of Mordor. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
what is there to complain about? I mean, okay, so here's the thing. There is nothing that says you have to finish a game if you buy it. I mean, if you get to a certain point in a game and you feel like you got your money's worth and you're kind of done with it, and it gets to gets into a wall where it just stops being fun, and that loot box shit starts hitting real bad.
Golf Story.
Stop playing. Huh? Oh yeah, well, there's a difference between playing it for playing it to review it. And, well, unfortunately, there's nothing I could have bought for fucking Golf Story.
Okay, we don't have to get Golf Story again.
Sorry, that's not getting it again. I don't want to talk about Golf Story anymore. I'm done with talking about Golf Story.
Sorry, I didn't mean. So, sorry, it's just it was right there for the taking.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I think we're just gonna call this episode Golf Story.
Golf, more like golf boring.
Yeah, golf boring, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. So anyway, yeah, loot crates. It's like I said. I understand it's skeevy. It's gross, but if you can recognize it as skeevy and recognize you've got a problem, then part of the problem is that you're not doing anything about it. I mean, you can't always it's like, hey, I broke my leg. Maybe I should keep walking on it for no reason. I mean, it's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah, I don't really anything else to say on this topic. It's just it sucks, but it's like it's all up to the consumer, honestly, at this point. Yeah. So
I mean, I mean, like you said before, it's no secret that these companies are just out to make money. I mean, there are some that do a good job of portraying themselves as like bastions of I'm trying to think of like of nostalgia. I mean, Nintendo plays up that very well. Natsume does that very well. Konami used to do that very well. But they're there to make money. That's why Konami doesn't really make real video games anymore. They're I mean, that's why I think Metal Gear Survive is that's why that's going to exist. They need to recoup some of the costs from making Metal Gear Solid 5. Do I think it's kind of a shitty thing what happened? Maybe, but I think we also talked about this at one point where I said, like, after so long of them developing that game, they need to put it out. And I understand people are like, oh, Kojima's this brilliant mastermind. I'm like, yeah, Kojima is making whatever Wikipedia article he read most recently. I mean, that's what affects his storytelling, basically, or whatever movie he just saw most recently. It's like, I don't know. Eventually, you've got to put a game out, and imagine another year of Metal Gear Solid 5, like them developing that. I mean, how much money that would have cost?
Yeah, the game is super expensive.
And then, God forbid, Kojima like read something else where he's like, "Ooh, I want to add that into my game somehow," and then had to rework some of the shit. Yeah. It's like, okay,
Yes.
I do not 100% fault Konami for being like, hey, this game needs to go out. We can't keep funding you because we're literally just losing money right now. We're not made of it, so put it out there. Sorry, tough shit.
Yes. So if this is the way companies have to make money, and we still get great AAA games, great AAA games, I mean, I can live with cosmetic loot boxes. But yeah, it's like I said. Eventually, it's gonna go too far. But
see, I think really my only experience with this was the Metal Gear Solid, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Like, I wanted a Krogan.
Oh right.
I never got a fucking Krogan. I wanted a Krogan, and I can't tell you how many hours Gore and I spent online playing that goddamn thing. And I think he got a Krogan like the first week we played it, and we sat there for months playing this shit, and I never got my goddamn Krogan, and boy was I not happy about that.
Yeah, for Overwatch, I just want one Pharah skin, and I could buy it, but I want to get it out of a goddamn loot box. I just want it. It feels so much better getting it that way.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 skins for her, and I have multiple skins for characters I don't even like to play. It's like
So
it's
let me
I
get
just
this
want the
straight.
mecha skin. I just
With
want the mecha skin.
with the Overwatch thing, you can actually buy the thing if you feel like you don't want to wait for it in the loot box.
You get gold from out of loot boxes.
Okay.
And you can eventually purchase it with in-game currency.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you
I believe Shadow War.
Can you buy gold by itself?
I see. I haven't been to the marketplace. I know you can buy loot boxes. I want to say you can probably buy gold by itself.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah, because that was my issue with Mass Effect 3 was like it was just a draw, just luck of the draw. That was it. There was nothing else to it, and that was what frustrated the hell out of me. And that's why I don't know. I kind of gave up on that.
The people's Overwatch problem is timed cosmetics during the events. They don't like that. You can't if you don't get it during an event, you can't get it ever again.
Yeah.
For the last event, for Summer Games, which was the first repeat event, I think their schedule is they're going to do the same events every year, just change it up a little bit, but kind of have a similar schedule every year to make it easier on themselves to keep pumping stuff out. So, I think all the Halloween skins from last year you can now purchase them, and they are cheaper than they were last year. And you also have a chance to get them in loot boxes again.
Okay.
In these Halloween, so they are making up for that mistake. They also changed it to where you could actually buy the skins instead of having to get them in a loot box during the events. Because the first time it came out, you couldn't even buy the event cosmetics. So Blizzard is pretty good about fixing their mistakes. I mean, or I'm sure they do it on purpose, but see how much they can get away with.
Yeah,
like I said, but
yeah. Push the boundary, get a little too much pushback from it, pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it works. So,
yep.
Yeah, just push everyone. Just if you want to, just push back. So that's all. That's what it's going to take. So, it's
I mean,
it seems it's
else you can do.
This is the most pushback I've seen in a long time, though. Probably since it first started. I think this is the. It happened a lot when it first became a thing, but I think this is the most I've seen since then in terms of pushback. So.
I remember the innocent days of horse armor.
Fucking horse armor.
Oh God.
That's where it all started, man.
Yeah.
Ground zero. Horse armor.
But those halcyon days of just the horse armor being the biggest problem. Yeah. I mean,
wasn't it like $5 for that horse armor?
Oh God, I don't remember. I remember I bought it when it was on sale for like $1, or I think it was like 80 Microsoft points or whatever it was at the time. So it was like the equivalent of $1. And I was like, sure, why not? I'll buy it just to be stupid.
Man, think about it. That's how it all started. Fucking Oblivion horse armor.
I'm sure there was something before that, but I think horse armor was the thing that caught most people. Like, hey, what the fuck is this shit?
$5.
Horse armor. Horse armor. You know what? I'm curious enough that I'm going to go to the Xbox store and take a look. Let's see. No, I don't want to log in. You know what? Never mind. I'm not going to the Xbox store. I don't remember my password off the top of my head. So, the hell with it. We're not going to find out. Or actually, let's do this.
All right.
Let's do this. Hold on. We'll do it the other way. Good old Polygon. Oblivion dev is sorry, not sorry for horse armor. God, you.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, I hate that. Of course, it would be Polygon that puts that up there. Let's see. Let's see. Horse armor pack. Oh, no, gotta log in. Guess what? Fuck you. We're not finding out. Sorry, guys. I just cleared out my cookies like 3 days ago, so that's why I'm not logged in already. And I don't really care to look at my password right now, so the hell with it. I know it's in my phone somewhere, and in this app where I can store all my passwords, but I really don't feel like taking it out. It's going to take too much effort to figure out horse armor, so... with that, let's wrap it up. Or actually, you know what? You saw Blade Runner. You wanna give me a quick couple minutes on that?
I did see. Actually, I'm going to see it again tonight, the day we're recording this.
So I'm going to go ahead and say you enjoyed it then.
Jason, it in my mind right now, I've only seen it once. Okay. It is one of the finest sci-fi films I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay.
It did a lot for me, and it is gorgeous. I'm sure you've heard that. It is a beautifully shot film. It carries the themes of the original forward and asks new questions instead of just asking the same. Are androids human? It's like yes, they are. Now we're asking what makes humans human is basically at that point. So it's the questions are deeper than the original Blade Runner, which makes it more interesting to me because by the time I'd seen Blade Runner, I had heard like Blade Runner has influenced so many things since it came out that it's like I'm sure it lost something by the time I saw it. But
yeah.
This one I'm excited to see. I hope it influences it somewhere close to what the first one did because it has some of the coolest uses of technology, really innovative, interesting ideas with AI and stuff like that. One of the craziest like sex scenes, and not like raunchy or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just not in no way raunchy. It's just a really crazy sex scene, and
okay.
But the use of technology and Ryan Gosling is very much his drive. Place Beyond the Pines. Is that what it's called? Beyond the Pines, whatever it's called.
Forget. I like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, I think his that character fits in this movie very well. It's some people like he's so emotionless. I mean, first of all, he is a replicant. That's pretty obvious from the beginning. That's not like a spoiler or anything. He is. That's what they say that pretty much right off the bat. But a few times he does finally express emotion. It's very powerful. He's great. It's fantastic. It's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, I saw that. I was looking it up. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to the bathroom once. I was enthralled the entire time. It's like I said, I'm going to see it again. I want to make sure I'm not just being hyperbolic. So I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it's cool because I said it's gorgeous because I think about it in like frames instead of like scenes, like specifically just shots and color usage and stuff like that is what I remember from that movie, just from how good it looks at all times. And it's man, it's something else. It's really I think if you like the first Blade Runner, if you're a fan of the first Blade Runner, I think this will definitely satisfy you. I'm not saying it's gonna have the same effect as it did on me, but I think if you're a fan of Blade Runner, it's a fantastic sequel to Blade Runner.
No, yeah. I think it's something I gotta go check out. I don't know if I'll be able to watch it in theaters. Just 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I don't know. That's one that I would like to go see with somebody else, but my mom is not that big a Blade Runner fan, and she's kind of the person I go see movies with because my wife is not a movie fan for the most part. So
okay, it's I would say IMAX if you get a chance. This movie deserves to be seen in IMAX. I'm sure, but I don't think it'll lose too much. It's just like it's best in IMAX. It's just from all the production, cinematography, all that. So good.
We do have an IMAX theater on the other end of town. Maybe I'll go look into that. So
it's really fucking good. I'd love to just talk about it if you get to see it. I'd love to just like your opinions and thoughts on the themes of the movie. It very much keeps up the tradition of Blade Runner in that it lingers on scenes a lot. It is a very slow movie, but it's.
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's like I'm not saying that. I don't. For me, it's not a bad thing. Like it knows it looks good and it treats it that way, and it also gives you time to think about the questions the movie's positing towards you. It's God damn, it's so good. I can't wait to go see to see it tonight. So yeah, it's definitely the best movie I've seen this year. I didn't think I'd like anything more than I liked Get Out and John Wick, but I think this is probably the best movie I've seen this year. Get Out's also very good, one of the best paced movies I've ever seen, and a very, very tight, awesome movie. John Wick 2, fantastic action movie, but yeah, this is just something else, man.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's one I definitely want to get into. Just I think we talked about this. Yeah, it was you I was talking about. Like, I think in like different stages of my life, I like Blade Runner for different reasons. Like when I was a kid and I saw it, I just thought it was a cool like action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older, I started appreciating the themes more, and I'd say like early 20s, I started appreciating its themes more, and then as I've gotten even older since then, it's more like I appreciate the themes and everything it's done for the genres in general. So it's like
it's so influential.
Yeah.
Like video games, it's video games alone, you get millions of influences in video games.
Yeah, I mean there's one in particular that is basically just Blade Runner, and we talked about its creator earlier. So it's basically just made Blade Runner the video game. Which, what? That would be a game I would like to play. There's like a point and click adventure game.
Snatcher?
No. The actual Blade Runner video game.
Oh, the actual yes. That game is it takes place concurrently with the movie.
Yeah,
actually,
it's something I would like to watch. It's something I would like to play eventually, but I don't know.
It's Westwood made that. The Command and Conquer people, but yeah, like the first Blade Runner, I like it. It took me a while to decide that I liked it. I'd seen it multiple times and couldn't decide whether I liked it or not.
Yeah,
because I always liked the style of that movie. That movie, its style is timeless as far as I'm concerned. But I felt like and I think its strengths and weaknesses are very similar. And like you say, like you've enjoyed it for a different reason every time you watched it,
mm-hmm.
and that's because it's like it is so many different types of movies at once. Like it's a detective movie, it's an art piece, it's sci-fi, it's the noir stuff. There's a love story in there, but I think that also leads to the problems I have with it is that I feel like all of those different things aren't quite as good as they could be. And I feel like they don't quite come together as good as I think they could. Like the love story is poor at best if you really look at everything that they like. I mean, that sexual assault scene notwithstanding, but the detective stuff, I feel like the mystery that I feel like there's no real mystery because if you know who he's going after, and it cuts between them at all back and forth. So I feel like he's not really. I feel like Roy Batty and Deckard's paths cross. They just eventually cross kind of unnaturally. It doesn't feel like a chase really, or a hunt. It just feels like now they're fighting each other at the end. That's how it kind of felt to me. But and I wish that they'd spent more time with Roy Batty. He's a more interesting character than Deckard is, in my opinion. Although, and I feel, and that's, I guess, the mildest of spoilers. I guess it's not really a plot. It's not really a spoiler. It's just my opinion of the new one. I feel like it's more about Roy Batty, like that. It's more of the story of Roy Batty in the new one, even though it's not about him at all. He's not in the movie. But I feel like it's this one. It'd be more like if Roy Batty was the main character instead of Deckard in Blade Runner. I feel like that's what this movie feels like in a lot of ways.
Okay.
It's because it explores the more interesting part of the story. Because I've never found Deckard that interesting of a character. Harrison Ford is a great. I like Harrison Ford. I think he does a fine job. And yeah, I just felt like the first movie does not quite come together the way I want it to. I know, but people love that movie. I know you love that movie. You really like it. I know I have friends that really like it. I have friends that hate it too. I mean, it's can be very divisive. But,
yeah, I mean, it's. That's the problem with being something that influences stuff sometimes is you have to look back at it and think like, well, this is not the first of its kind, but what it did at the time, it was doing without all the stuff or that it's been or that's influenced it since then. So it's I don't know. It's hard to watch it in a vacuum now. Like I said, when I watched it, God, I don't know. I was probably in my mid-teens. Like I just kind of liked it. Like I just thought it was like a cool movie to watch. You know what I mean? It didn't like the themes I thought were
It
kind of cool, but it was just more like oh, there's like this is just sort of the stuff I'm into as far as like sci-fi goes. You know?
Yeah,
Um,
it is a very naturally cool movie. Just the way the colors they use, just like the noir aspect, the soundtrack, the of course the cyberpunk, which is now it basically created cyberpunk as we know it now. So it's an inherently cool movie.
yeah.
So
And to yeah, but like I said, and as I got older and I would like rewatch it, I would kind of like not figure out, but just like discover new things about it that made me enjoy it in a different way. Like, you know, like I said, my simplistic like, oh, it's just a cool movie to watch. As I got older, just sort of dissipated. And yeah, it's still a cool movie to watch. It's just you know, recognizing what it's done for movies in general since then, and just media in general since then. It's like, okay,
yeah,
this thing has had a huge influence, and just seeing what it's done and how it's held up. Like, I think it's held up not surprisingly, but remarkably well. Like I said, you see so many things of like, okay, well, I go, you know, you go a few years down the road and you see like, okay, well, this has gotten so much better, or you know, this has influenced stuff and stuff that's done it so much better since then. I mean, I guess you can take a look at like, I mean, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think like, just video game analogy. Like you look at like Pitfall, which is sort of the first side-scrolling platformer, and then compare it, you know, I don't know, was that 15 years down the road to, you know, Super Mario World? It's like, well, this is the same genre, but I mean,
yeah.
totally outclassed. I mean, there's no point in going back and playing Pitfall. Whereas if you go back and play or and watch Blade Runner, you can still get something out of Blade Runner. It's still a good movie. So I
Yeah,
don't know. It's a weird
it's
thing.
kind of the magic of movies. They will inherently age better
Mm-hmm.
than games will. Just because the speed of technology is way different in the two in the two mediums. So,
Yeah.
but- and, and I think even the themes of Blade Runner are still very interesting. I mean, they've been asked a million times, like I mean, our android or what makes a human, like what makes a human, like is android human? I mean, but it's still a story that can be twisted in so many interesting ways. I mean, I love Soma, you know that, and I really love the story in Soma, and that's just another take on Blade Runner's story.
Yeah.
It's just so it's or Phil, I guess on Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which I'm trying to read. I'm starting to read now. Actually, I've never read it before. The Philip K. Dick novel, but it's all right. It's kind of I don't really like the way it's written. It's but there's some really interesting stuff with some interesting technology in that book. Uh, but yeah, like and I think Blade Run. That's what I think most impressed me with the new movie is just how it carried those themes forward and asked and made them feel modern and didn't just it like Evil Within worshiping at the altar of Resident Evil 4. This movie did not worship at the altar of its predecessor. I think it goes beyond it. So I think and makes its own path. So that's yeah. That was I think my favorite part. It's just it creating its own identity while still respecting
The source
its
material.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like I said, you just this discussion and just the general consensus of what I've seen of it. I do definitely want to see it, even if I do have to kind of go see it myself, which probably will end up being the case if I want to go see it in the theater. But I don't know. It is definitely something I'm interested in. This has been a like unusual year for me for movies. Like I've actually seen more than one movie. Like normally it's like one thing my mom and I will go see together. Like this year, I think we did Rogue One come out like last year? End of
came out
last
in
year?
December.
Okay, yeah. So my
Yeah.
mom and I saw like
Yeah.
Rogue One at the beginning of this year. We've seen it. We nearly went to go see The Gunslinger, but yeah,
Did you like it? Did you like it? I
I
liked
thought
it a lot.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I really enjoy. I really enjoyed the story of it by itself. So I thought it was a really good take on it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I think it's a better thing than the TV movie, because how could you not think that? I mean, okay, Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise
Timeless.
is
Timeless.
unrivaled.
Timeless.
There's
But,
no, I don't think
yeah.
there's a way you could beat that. But the It in general, the new It, I guess, in general, is just a much better film. My issue, I gotta ask you this: have movies gotten like substantially louder, or is it just me?
I
Am I just getting old?
I think a lot of theaters have bigger sound systems now.
Okay.
So I think that factors in. The new Blade Runner has some very loud bass at times.
Okay.
It's
because like
it's very well used actually. It's I believe Hans Zimmer did a lot of the soundtrack, which I was not super looking forward to, but I think his stuff is used very effectively, which is good.
Yeah, everything I've gone to see lately has just been very I don't know, tone it down a few decibels, because it's distracting almost.
It's also for jump scares purposes. They try to make increase volume.
Yeah.
So
I think it even was when we saw Rogue One. I was still this is too loud. Turn it down a little bit.
I have had moments where I'm like, this is really loud. But
okay.
I totally do agree with you. Now that I think about it, I've definitely been like, I think this is too much.
Yeah.
But
you got to find
it doesn't feel very optimized, I think, is the problem.
Yeah. It's a weird mix almost. I understand you want to kind of emphasize certain points, but when you're getting to the point that you're hurting my ears, you're taking me right out of it. All I'm thinking about is myself, and this is too loud.
And I don't know if that's the problem with films or movie theaters at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like it might just be movie theaters at this point.
That was kind of my theory, but it's been every movie theater I've been to recently, and it's just okay, so is this just me? Okay, like I said, I'm glad I'm not the only one that sometimes thinks that, because like I said, I was just I'm just getting old. That's all it is. It's that if it's too loud, you're too old, and I'm like, this is too fucking loud.
Yeah. But yeah, I've definitely have times where I'm like, this is too loud. It takes you out of it, because you start thinking about the sound and not the movie.
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
And that's something I don't know. We've talked about this before. I pay a weird amount of attention to sound design for a guy who doesn't really, I don't want to say understand a lot of that stuff, but I pay a lot of attention to it. And I think I just catch more okay, this is what this is doing here, even if I can't recognize specific instruments or whatever, I guess get the mechanical aspect of it more than anything, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, but and when that happens, it's just okay, I know what you're doing. Stop. You're trying too hard. You're screaming at me when all you need to do is speak to me. So
yeah.
That's, I don't know.
That's less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more.
That's that's my big issue. And I will say this, people were freaking out about how I don't want to say scary, but scary it is. And really the thing I had the hardest time with was the beginning scene, just because I knew it was going to happen.
I knew that would be rough for you.
It's
they show a lot more than you expect them to show.
Yeah.
But
and then the other one was where the kid fell and broke his arm, and they showed the compound fracture, and I did not need to see that.
Broken bones fuck me up.
Yeah.
I can't deal. It's the movie is not very scary. I just think it's a well-made movie. I enjoy it. It's there are plenty of people I've tried trying to get people to see it, and people are like, no, I don't like scary movies, and I'm like, it's not that scary. It's just a good movie. It's just a good time. But some people really do find it really scary, and
I guess I can see it. I don't know. I found myself unaffected by horror a lot more as I've gotten older. I think I don't know if I had talked to you about this or maybe Gore. Just I spent so much of my young life being a chicken shit that I think I got it out of my system.
Yeah, as a young child, I hated. I never wanted to watch scary stuff, and now I love it. I watch it all the time. I play horror games all the time. I watch them, and at this point, it's I don't remember the last time a movie actually scared me. I guess the last time a game made me Resident Evil 7 was the last time a game did, so that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
But Like, and that game didn't. I don't think that game is just on an unending dread for a while. That's more of what that's scary. That game, why that game's scary.
Yeah.
But it's. I'm trying to remember. Think of a movie that actually scared me recently. It's been a while. Like I watched the Babadook in my room by myself at night. And that was a really good movie too. It's not particularly scary.
I think that's one Gore recommended to me.
It makes you not want to be a parent. That's if it scares you out of that.
Okay,
well, good.
A little late for that.
Sucks. But yeah, but I mean, and the movie's like a whole like metaphor for depression, like the Babadook's metaphor for depression, which is kind of it's really interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to think what scary movies that came out recently, and The Conjuring was good. I don't remember if I actually got scared during it though.
You know what? That was like, okay, let me tell you, the last thing that actually scared me was The Ring.
Yeah, I was young when I saw that. That movie fucked me up.
Yeah. So, I will be completely honest. I went home and what was I at the time? I think it was like 17 when that came out. I was living with my grandma. And my computer was in one corner of my room, and my TV was in the other corner of the room. And I sat there on my computer like I aming somebody on AIM. You know, rest in peace, AIM. You guys they're going away after God, I don't know how long now. But anyway, and I kept like I forget what the hell I had, but I had something heavy like at my desk to throw through my TV in case that shit went on by itself, because I was creeped the fuck out by that movie.
You know, out of all the scenes in that movie, the one that stuck with me the most as a kid from childhood is the scene of the horse jumping off the edge and getting run over by the boat.
Yeah, just turning into propeller meat.
Yeah, it wasn't scary, but it scarred me. I think that scarred me as a kid because I think it's the first scene. It's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of that movie, and it's not even like most people don't even remember that part. When I think about it, but I
remember that very vividly. Like I went to go see it with this girl, and like I mean her afterwards, and we were both just like, man, that was not comfortable to watch, was it? Like we were both like genuinely pretty scared.
It's such a well-made American remake too. It's like that's the crazy part. It's first of all, it's an American version of a Japanese movie, and it's still a very well done thing. It's really good.
I'm gonna say this. I don't think Ringu was that scary. Like I went and tracked it down afterwards, and she came over to my house and we watched it together. And boy, let me tell you, that it didn't do it for me. Like even her, like we were both like kind of cheesy. I don't really like Ringu. I'm just saying, it's just like I honestly don't know if that's because I saw The Ring first. Honestly, that might have something to do with it. Yeah.
Ring's a damn good movie.
Yeah, but yeah, that was like I said, that was the last thing that like I think I've ever been, not ever, but that's the last thing that's genuinely scared me. Whereas when I was a kid, like I'm not kidding, Jurassic Park scared me. That I was afraid a T-Rex was going to come and rip the roof off our house. Like that's how much of a chicken shit I was when I was a child. Like everything practically scared me, and I refused to go into a haunted house because I was terrified of it. At a fair, at my Catholic school.
It actually was very scary when reading it as a kid. The raptors are fucking nightmare fuel in the book.
You know what's weird? Yeah. I read that like when I was in 6th grade, I think.
Yeah.
And like it didn't scare me. I don't know, like reading it, like I said, I was maybe in 5th grade when I read that, I think. I was way too young to have fucking read that book.
I was a freshman when I read that. That book's just too long. That's that book's problem.
But, there's that too. I mean, it's practically the Dark Tower saga in one fucking book.
Yeah, but yeah, horror stuff is. I still really like it though. That's the best thing. Is like I love going to see horror movies. I love the atmosphere of horror movies. I love a good ideas for horror movies. It's just I just like the whole genre. So I think at this point, I don't know if there's gonna be other Paranormal Activity. I think scared me when I was younger. I think how old I was when that came out. The first one was. I don't remember when it came out now.
Didn't it?
I think the mid 2000s.
Okay.
I want to say I was in junior high or around freshman year.
Yeah, I could see that.
Around freshman year.
I could see that doing it for you there because that was. like
Yeah.
I let me see. So if that was like mid 2000s, I would have been like my early 20s, mid 20s. So it kind of bounced off me. I was like, oh, that was kind of creepy, you know, but not like, oh, good, I'm gonna lose any
Uh,
sleep over this.
it's one of the movies I actually have watched everything that came out. I actually really like that franchise, and I don't think they're great movies by any means, and I don't think they're. I just love I love its dumb lore.
Yeah.
I really
Well,
I
you
enjoy
know,
following
it is okay to
yeah.
appreciate something despite it being stupid
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, I love horror movie franchises. I have plenty that I just like. I just like the dumb lore, and I like seeing how I like following it. And that one, yeah, that one gets really dumb. it's yeah. And then Final Destination also another one that I like watching all the new ones. It's been a while since they've had one, but
Yeah, that started
yeah,
in like
that's
early 2000s.
2001. I want to say is the first one.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I remember being in Arizona or living in Arizona when the first one came out, and that was like, and I only lived out there from like 2000 to 2001. So, but yeah,
Yeah, that movie. The second one is scared. The car crash being in the second one stuck with me for my whole life. I've watched it multiple times. I've watched it since then a few times, but that's probably the best scene in that whole franchise. Is
Okay.
the highway car crash. It's fucking man. I don't trust log trucks ever again.
Gee,
I
I
don't
can't
trust.
understand why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Never trust a log truck. Never drive behind a log truck.
Well, I just in general like just those trucks like, you know. I know how thin those walls are in those trucks most of the time, and you're like, stiff
Yeah.
breeze could knock those things over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little uncomfortable. But anyway, yeah, we should probably wrap up here because I think my kids are starting to get a little, we'll say, restless out there now that the movie's over. So
Yeah. Right.
yeah, I may have caught some background noise of them a few minutes ago, but I think we can get by with that. You know, was it the Player One podcast? They practically have their kids as guests sometimes, so you have screaming infants. You know, I think we can make do with like 10 seconds of my son like chatting in the background of my daughter. So anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap that up there. Yeah, I had something else I was going to talk about. And I can't remember what that is. So old age doesn't help. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. This was a little bit longer than we were thinking, but we actually talked about something there at the end that I didn't really think we were going to go into. So the games, I think we were a little bit lighter on the games portion of this podcast this month. So
Yeah, you know, we got we got it out of the way to talk about the real stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I know what it was. Real quick, I watched the second season of Attack on Titan 2. I gotta say, or Attack on Titan, I really, really like that one. Like, the first one was just okay on. The second season's really fucking good. I was really surprised. And I don't know if you can go into the second season without having watched the first. So I have a hard time recommending it, but if you watch the first season and are a little trigger shy in the second one's really fucking good. The stakes get raised quite a bit, and the pacing's a lot goddamn better. Because I think that one's a 12 episode thing, and I think the first season's like 20 something. So
yeah, that sounds more appealing.
It ends on a fucking cliffhanger again, but I mean it's just the way that's gonna happen. But I was remarkably surprised at how much I enjoyed that thing, and it got brutal, and man, they did not shy away from killing people.
Yeah, I've if anime I'm watching, My Hero Academia. I'm going to watch the last episode either after this or tomorrow. It was the second season. That show is fantastic. Anime X-Men. It's
Yeah, I think we talked about that
the second
a couple
season.
months ago, maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to do an update because I had not finished the second season. The show is really fucking good.
Okay.
It's really really good, inspiring stuff in that show too. It's fun to watch.
So there's our anime minute each, basically.
Yeah.
Just like I said, I was almost dumbfounded at how good I thought the second season was compared to the first one. I was just like, did I almost have a hard time not recommending this? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those that the first season does fill in a lot of the gaps. I just don't know if you can go into the second season without having watched it. But like I said, the pacing in that second season is just so good. Like I was finding myself watching 3 or 4 episodes at a time, and that's pretty hard for me to do. Like sit down and watch something that long without getting interrupted. And I'd be like, you know, the kids would interrupt me for something and be like, okay, sit back down and watch it. Normally it's like, once I get interrupted, I'm like, I'll come back to it and watch it another time. But I'd be like, okay, what do you want? Okay, Daddy's sitting down and watching this. I don't care. I'm sorry. So, Should speak volumes to it. So anyway, that'll wrap up the podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. We will talk at you guys within the next week or so. Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel podcast is being worked on. There was a little editing snafu on my part, so I'm basically having to step away from it for a few days, so I don't just hastily put it out there and just be like, hey, here's a shit half-ass edit, because I got frustrated and something happened and I basically lost 3/4 of the work I had put into it, so I'm having to start over. So I mean, that was like 2.5 hours worth of work I had put into it, and all for naught. And yeah, it's a little frustrating. So, but anyway, yeah, that'll be coming out in the next week or two. So, and there might be a review on Golf Story. I don't know. We may have talked enough about Golf Story that I don't know if I need to review it now. So, basically, I don't like it. It's not a 1-star. I'll say that's something, but probably a 2 if I had to guess. So. Normally I let Gore kind of like pick the score for me. So unless I'm 100% adamant about like, nope, this is this or this is this. It's normally a 1 or a 5-star that I'm like, no, this is this, plain and simple. So.
Oh yeah, 5-star. You gotta. That's a gut feeling on that one. It's like this is. Or if I would say if it was in 2 right now, I'd probably give it a 4 as we're going right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's why like Ease 8. Like so. I was just like in my gut as I'm writing the review. Yeah. I'm like, this is 5. I mean, I can't. I'm sitting there trying to. I normally would try to talk myself out of it, but that I was like, I can't think of anything here that doesn't make this a 5 for me. So anyway, that'll do it for the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason Arriola. You can follow John at John Lucero 777, and all the social media stuff is on our site if you want to check that out. And if you want to tell a friend about the podcast, that would be great. The more listeners we get, the more game clubs we might be able to do. And I would really like to do more game clubs, even though the editing on that is a goddamn nightmare for me. But I enjoy doing those immensely. So anyway, it's been a few weeks, so I think that's why we maybe ran a little long, John. I had a lot of media stuff to catch up on here, so it was kind of nice to get some of that stuff out of the way finally. Clear the air. So anyway, we will talk at you guys whenever the hell that podcast is.